Yvette Cooper, thank you for joining us today on GB News. This is the fourth Immigration Act in 8 years, 3 by the Tories, 1 by you guys at Labour. Why will this work?
Well, we have had, I think, a failed experiment from the Conservatives in recent years. We saw net migration quadruple in the space of just 4 years. So I completely understand why people would be sceptical, having seen that. Really what the Conservatives did was they replaced free movement with a free market, free-for-all of overseas recruitment from abroad shooting up at the same time as training in the UK went down. That is just a failing and broken system. So what we're setting out is really practical plans to make sure that net migration comes substantially down, but also that we restore control and order to the immigration system, and also make sure the rules are properly respected and enforced. And where people are coming to the UK, that they're contributing and speaking English, because we do need to have a fair system in place.
Down substantially by how much?
So already we're reducing the visas that we're issuing. That's already happening. Already we are increasing returns. Enforced returns are up over 20% since the election. And these measures go further. So, for example, some of the measures around the skilled worker visa, the care worker visa, the settlement rules and the English language rules, those together would mean a reduction of 100,000 fewer visas or fewer people arriving just as a result of those measures. But then we also
By when?
Well, we also have further. Let me finish the point, and then I'll come back to the question. We also have further measures coming in, including the workforce strategies, including for higher skills, also stronger rules around family, and also, crucially, immigration skills charge going up, which means employers will have to invest in training. So that will have an impact as well, and that's on top of those. The particular measures around the skilled worker visas and the care visa that we've said care workers should not be being recruited from abroad. Those are changes that we're making straight away this year. Those will come in immediately over the course of this year.
So what's the overall number then for our viewers? 100,000 fewer visas. Where will we be on net migration by the end of the Parliament? Below 500,000 a year?
Well, we're clear it needs to be substantially down. So that's certainly the case. Is that where you'll be, 500,000? No, it needs to be substantially down.
So below that?
It needs to be substantially down. So we absolutely needs to be substantially down. I mean, you've heard, I think your first question shows we have had a whole series of targets that the Tories set out previously. Yeah. None of them were met. In fact, they often did the opposite. So I think that just undermined the credibility of the whole system. So that's why we are taking a different approach to this. The way we're doing things is setting out step by step the action that we'll take. Exactly. People will be able to see the consequences. They'll be able to see the progress that we're making, but we'll do that step by step rather than just going for rhetoric and saying things that nobody's going to believe. I say 500,000 and you didn't deny that. It's going to be substantially down.
Below that?
It needs to be substantially down.
What did the PM mean when he said earlier we risk becoming an island of strangers, forces are pulling this country apart? That makes it look like this is a response to Reform UK.
Well, I think what we're talking about is making sure that if people are coming to work, to live in the UK, they do need to be able to speak English. We need people to be able to integrate in communities, everybody to be able to talk to their neighbours. So that's why we're strengthening the English language requirements, including, for example, if you have workers coming to the UK who are coming with a partner, actually their partner needs to be able to speak English as well.
So at home and at work?
It needs to be able to speak English because otherwise they can't engage in the local community and they can't get jobs as well. So it's really important that we increase those English language skills. I think that's the basics of what people would expect.
That's legal migration. Illegal migration, 12,000 arrived here now. On our southern border so far this year. Why isn't Smash the Gangs working? Was dropping the Rwanda deportation plan a mistake?
Well, we need to get these new counter-terrorism powers in place. These border crossings, these dangerous small boats, they undermine our border security and they put lives at risk. It's been driven by criminal gangs who've had 6 years to take hold. We need the stronger counter-terrorism powers in place. Parliament will have the chance to vote for those counter-terrorism powers tonight. The Conservatives and Reform so far have voted against those counter-terrorism powers. I'm really saying to them, they need to back us on getting these counter-terrorism powers in place. You referred to the Rwanda scheme. They sent 4 volunteers. They ran the scheme.
To see if it worked?
They ran the scheme for 2 years. They spent £700 million and they sent 4 volunteers.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that was a failing scheme. What we've done is put that investment into increasing returns, and we've seen a big increase in the returns.
What number do you stand on that?
election.
24,000 deportations, but only 6,000 enforced returns. That's not a lot, is it?
Well, it's more than 20% increase in
6,000.
enforced returns. You're absolutely right. We want to go further. So one of the things that we're doing as part of this white paper is changing the rules. At the moment, the only action that's taken is on people who have the major prison sentences. Those are clearly the most serious cases. We need that stronger action there. But there are also a lot of other cases where people are committing repeated crimes who might be here on a visa and no action is being taken. So we want to change the procedures so that we can have much swifter action. If you come to the UK, you should be abiding by UK laws. So we need to strengthen those systems as well.
The Tories, Reform UK, say pull out of the ECHR. That's not going to happen under your government, is it?
Well, what we've managed to do with international law is get new agreements with France and Germany that are very important. So we can't rip those up. And there's 2 of those that are very important. France has now agreed that they will now start to intervene in French waters in order to prevent small boats. That hasn't happened yet, but the previous government spent 6 years trying to persuade them. They have now agreed as a result of the pressure that we've been putting on, the discussions that we have had. And we need that to start. Germany has also now agreed to change their law to be able to go after the warehouses where the small boats are. All of those, you need the international laws in place. However, what we do think is that there should be much greater clarity about the way in which international laws are being interpreted here in the UK. And that's why we're going to have much clearer rules in place in order to make sure that we're not getting the same kind of perverse and confused decisions.
You're putting them up in hotels, in some houses next door to where GB News viewers live. And these viewers, their children can't leave home because of that. It offends against fairness, doesn't it?
Well, we've inherited a very chaotic system. And you've seen that with the asylum hotels. We need to end the use of asylum hotels. We need to get order back into the asylum system, clear the backlog. We're also putting forward new changes to the law to speed up the appeal system. That has been delaying the whole thing, and also to better enable us to increase returns as well. So we will keep working our way through that step by step. It is a chaotic system, and we need to make sure that we can clear that backlog, end asylum hotels, get order back into the system.
And just the very final one on the grooming gangs. You haven't yet received the Louise Casey report, that's right?
That's right.
You looked moved by it when you saw testimony of victims on TV yesterday. If she finds evidence of dozens of towns affected, as our reporter Charlie Peters has found, will you order a national inquiry?
Well, these are appalling crimes. I mean, these are some of the most vile crimes that there are. You're talking about the most awful rapes and coercion and exploitation of children, of young girls, particularly teenagers, that's been taking place. And this kind of crime, child sexual exploitation, we're also seeing this being linked to online as well. So we're already strengthening the law around both online and on the streets, the grooming gangs. We are strengthening the law and strengthening sentencing powers. We do need to go further, including we've set out the plans for local inquiries. But also the most important thing I think we need is the stronger police inquiries, the stronger police investigations. We've got to get the perpetrators behind bars. They are committing terrible crimes, and we need to make sure that there is strong police action, strong criminal justice action, so they pay the price for these crimes.
But you won't commit to national inquiry?
Well, we've already had, obviously, one national inquiry. We've already had the investigations in place. But what we need to do is make sure that we've got the swift action. I will always look at whatever action is needed to make sure that we can keep children and young people safe. That's why we're waiting for the Louise Casey audit. But it's also why we need the stronger laws and the stronger police investigations too.
OK. Yvette Cooper, we're out of time. Thank you for joining us today on GB News. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.